Okay, so next up I want to just talk to you about these three walls here that form the main framework for the gallery. I have them in three separate pieces that will just be taped together, but I did want to talk about some of the different parts, namely this little channel here on both sides that's made out of cardboard that's acting like a wooden beam to help hold the roof into place. And you'll notice that this piece that I have measured is essentially made on a 10 inch by 16 inch by 10 inch solid piece. And then what I did was I took my ruler and I started at the point here. I measured down 2 inches and then connected those two lines. And that's how I ended up with this angle that we're working with. So how we got from 10 feet to 8 feet by subtracting 2 feet from the top and then making that angled line. And then I put this wooden beam right below that line so that the roof sits on top of it, so that I'm maintaining that 8-foot height. I initially thought that I wouldn't have to cut off this top strip, but after having assembled the model and done some test shots, I realized that in some of them you can see the walls through. So I'm going to go ahead, and now that I've mounted this strip of cardboard along the edge here, I'm going to go ahead and just cut the excess off. If you feel more confident with a ruler, you can certainly use a ruler, but you also could just go ahead and use that cardboard as your guide. I'm making a couple passes here. So we're going to do that to this side, to the opposite side. And then I'm also going to do that to the back wall. And one of the things that I could do is I could use these as reference points. So I could measure with my ruler, or I could just go ahead and make a mark here that indicates that's where that will be cut. And here is where the next side will be cut. And I've just realized it would have been beneficial if on this channel I would have left a little extra strip, because the roof kind of fits inside of there. So I'm probably going to go ahead at some point and cut an extra little strip and glue it back on, or maybe I could even just take this and glue it, I don't know, it's got to actually be on top. You'll see when I go to put the roof on. So this was kind of a oops mistake. But when I go to cut this piece here, what I'm going to recommend is that you leave that extra little bit. So what I'll probably do is I'll draw a little line here. And then you can even use this as a spacer or as a guide to tell you where that next line should be. So I'm cutting at the height of this, but leaving a little excess for that roof to stay inside of. Oh well, it's okay. Nothing that a little tape, hot glue, and a couple extra minutes won't solve. Okay. That's the top. Another thing to sort of pay attention to is what piece goes on the inside and what goes on the outside. And if you can see this, you'll actually know that I made a little bit of a channel right here, because this back piece of foam board fits inside of here, so it makes a nice clean snug joint when those two pieces go together. So to test fit the pieces together, I go ahead and I just use this blue tape. As I said, sometimes I notice that I can actually see the tape through depending on the lighting. And so after I'm done test fitting this, I'll go ahead and replace this with the other masking tape. So that one fits inside of there, and things are getting messy. This one will fit inside of here. So same thing, this has this nice little channel for that to fit inside of. This cardboard piece is inset the width of the foam board. And I'll just go ahead and tape this into place. Tape that into place. And I've got my floor that I made. And I did make this larger than the 16 by 16 foot of the gallery, just so that I can kind of set it on top of here and have some room to tape it on either end. One thing that I also am going to probably do after I'm done with this, recording this demo, is put a couple strips of cardboard underneath here. Because I cut into this to create the flooring, it's got a little more flex to it, and I want it to have a little bit more stability, because when I'm photographing my work, I'm sometimes walking around carrying the model like this and holding my camera just to get that right lighting, and the floor kind of wants to sag, so I'm probably going to put some spacers under there. So I can set this on top of there, and then the roof, these beams go on the back half of the piece. Oh, maybe this will be okay, because those beams maybe help hold it into place. I don't know. Yeah, it's not too bad. I might actually be okay. We'll see. But tape fit it together. So I can kind of see where the lip of the foam board should have been, and as I'm taping, I'm lining up this groove with that edge. Okay, so this is the little model. Again, I'm going to have measurements and everything up on your assignment for you, but we could imagine now that you could start playing with putting some art inside of here. All right, we have natural light from two sides. Oops, from two sides. No, over here. And then because the roof comes off, if you need access for photographing the work or installing the work, you can always go ahead and take that roof back off. And I usually also do tape the edges and the sides of the model onto the base. And when I'm ready to sort of take my photos, I want to make sure that it's really light tight, because if you have gaps in there, then you'll see some of the light shining through that and it will look kind of fake and artificial. So I do want to make sure this is nice and flat, so that when I put the sides on it, everything is flat and fits together really well. Okay, so now it is your turn to get out your materials and to work with the measurements and make your own little mini gallery for our installation.